Welcome to the RM6370 Space Technology Solutions Supplier webinar. My name is Kate Williams and I'm the Commercial Category Support for Space and Network Services here at Crown Commercial Service. I'm joined by both CCS and MOD colleagues who will introduce themselves as we progress through the presentation. As you can see from the agenda, we have a fair amount of information to cover. However, this will also be available for you to read on the information pack, which includes further useful information on the Space Technology Solutions dynamic market. This pack will be available when the formal notice of intention is published on the central digital platform, and you should make sure to read through this prior to applying. We have also included useful information at the end of this presentation, which includes general information, guidance, notice information, and policy notes, etc. We've made reference to these links throughout the presentation on the relevant slides, within flags and with a number reference. These slides are available to download from our website for you to access these links. So the purpose of today's presentation is to update you on the Space Technology Solutions dynamic market. We'll be taking you through the details of a dynamic market, why it's beneficial to you as suppliers, what you'll need in preparation to join, and how to join. We hope that after this presentation, you'll feel prepared for our launch and will be able to apply to be a member of the dynamic market effectively and efficiently. For those of you who may not be familiar with Crown Commercial Service, we are the UK's biggest public procurement organisation, and we are here to help the UK public sector get better value for money from its procurement of goods and services. We support government departments as well as public and third sector organisations, and by working together contribute to the delivery of world-class public services for UK citizens. Customers and their individual needs are at the heart of everything we do, and we use our commercial expertise and experience to power the public sector's procurement needs. Space Technology Solutions is a new dynamic market created by CCS in collaboration with the Ministry of Defence to support the growth and advancement of the UK space sector. It will be the first dynamic market to be introduced under the new Procurement Act 2023. The DM will provide public sector organisations such as central government departments, local authorities and academic institutions with streamlined access to a wide range of space-related goods, works and services. It will also provide buyers with a list of pre-qualified suppliers. We're joined today by Ben from the MOD to provide you with a little more context as to why CCS and the MOD have been working together on this project. I'll hand you over to Ben.
Thank you, Kate. Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Harvey, and I'm a commercial officer within the space delivery team at DENS. And along with a number of other MOD and pan-government representatives, I've been collaborating with CCS to help develop, build and implement the Space Technology Solutions dynamic market. I think it's fair to say that the coinciding factors of the Defence Space Strategy, a new set of procurement regulations and a burgeoning category management programme has created opportunities to confront the challenges faced in delivering complex, multifaceted and time-sensitive programmes in what is an ever-evolving technical landscape. Couple that with sustained industry engagement across all these initiatives, and this enhanced level of collaboration has, we believe, produced a more aligned, cohesive and optimized approach to space procurement. Whether you're already familiar with this dynamic market or engaging with us for the first time today, I hope you agree that we have designed something more relevant, inclusive and user-friendly that will satisfy mixed procurement and pan-government requirements in space, provide an evolutionary option to the existing space-based routes to market, as well as delivering against the key objectives that you can see on screen. Next slide, please. Although this dynamic market has been developed with both pan-government and defence-specific contracting needs in mind, defence stakeholders have played a significant role in designing this commercial vehicle with CCS, utilising the newfound flexibility in the procurement regs to implement something that we believe will become the primary route to market for space and space-related procurements, with the added benefit of reducing the proliferation of bespoke frameworks. In our role as a key partner in the design of this DM, we have made sure that we have included what we expect to be the likely areas and capabilities related to space that will be most recognisable to yourselves in industry, taking cues from the existing CCS framework and evolving it into something all-encompassing and more suitable for a wider range of requirements. There has also been a strong ethos of collaboration, which has been the cornerstone of how we've approached the design and implementation of this endeavour. And we also extend our thanks to our industry partners who have actively engaged in this process and provided feedback that has helped us to finesse this dynamic market. It is also worth reiterating here the cross-functional and multi-agency collaboration that has taken place to fully exploit shared benefits of leveraging enterprise-wide initiatives, such as category management, into one overarching strategic approach, with the ultimate aim of ensuring our supply chains are resilient, sustainable, and agile. Next slide, please. To my knowledge, there isn't one single framework in existence in this area which encompasses all test readiness levels, or TRLs. And the idea here is that we very much look at the entire CAD mid-cycle and look to facilitate a supplier ecosystem that allows a cohesive and continuous relationship with suppliers throughout our programs and beyond, taking projects from concept to operational phase in a much more integrated and seamless fashion, helping to bridge the gap and prevent knowledge and momentum being lost, as may have been the case using previous purchasing mechanisms. Intrinsic to the dynamic market is the intent to lower the barriers to entry, increasing participation amongst SMEs, unlocking the potential for innovation and strengthening market diversity and resilience. The DM covers an eclectic range of capabilities, service offerings and specialisms, and combined with the DM's inherent forward-looking ethos, provides both customer and supplier benefits with an agility, transparency and flexibility not associated with more traditional procurement approaches. So once again, many thanks for engaging with this initiative. We very much appreciate the time you have taken out to join us on this webinar, and in due course look forward to responding to any questions you may have and ultimately seeing your organisations actively engage with the DM in the coming weeks and months. And with that, I'll hand back to my colleagues at CCS.
Thank you, Ben. My name is Stuart Florence and I'm a category manager here at CCS for both RM6235 DPS and the DM RM6370. A dynamic market is a new commercial tool providing a list of qualified suppliers who are eligible to participate in future procurements. It has been designed to support more flexible and competitive purchasing, especially for rapidly evolving sectors such as technology and space. Like a dynamic purchasing system, suppliers can join at any time throughout the duration of the agreement. The current timescale for space technology solutions is 6 years, with an option to extend for a further 2 years. A dynamic market allows for a flexible approach to procurement through the competitive flexible procedure, as well as in terms of innovation and through emergence of new technologies as a result of its open nature. The Act replaces dynamic purchasing systems and qualification systems with dynamic markets. Dynamic markets have many of the features of a current dynamic purchasing systems and qualification systems, but have been developed to better suit the needs of contracting authorities and utilities, and to add clarity. There are several key differences between dynamic markets and dynamic purchasing systems which present benefits to both the buyer and the supplier. These have influenced our decision, made in collaboration with the MOD as a key customer, to pursue this approach for space technology solutions. Next slide, please. So, what's the difference between RM6370 and RM6235? Well, firstly, dynamic markets allow for buying authorities to determine contract terms, unlike a DPS, where the terms and conditions are predetermined by CCS. This means that the terms can be better suited to the procurement at hand, the supplier and the buyer, but also gives the buying authority more control over their contracts post-award. As mentioned, the current DPS, RM6235, is still running and has been extended until February 2029. The DPS should only be used for under-threshold procurements under PCR 2015, with RM6370 allowing for more complex procurements under the Procurement Act 2023. Please note, as suppliers, you can join both the DPS and the dynamic market to compete for future contracts. Dynamic markets also aim to provide a more streamlined and transparent procurement process, essential to ensuring fair opportunities for suppliers with varying levels of experience. In comparison to DPSs, dynamic markets are more open and adaptable, enabling organisations to meet the real-time demands of their projects. In terms of the benefits presented, dynamic markets allow for innovation through quick responses to technical challenges and consumer preferences. It reduces the barriers for entry through minimum requirements at onboarding stage. These are the conditions of membership. More about that later. With more focused requirements enforced through conditions of participation. This is also no limit to the number of suppliers that can join the dynamic market. Both these points encourage SME involvement as a means of developing the UK space sector. There is also an increased flexibility through the Procurement Act 2023, with a key benefit of the new dynamic market being its enhanced scope, which we'll go on to discuss shortly. There is also increased visibility for suppliers, both in terms of suppliers being made aware of different opportunities presented, but also in that buyers will have an increased visibility of what suppliers are in the market. Next slide, please. The scope of the dynamic market has been determined through market analysis. The Space Technology Solutions dynamic market has been divided into 4 main groups and then broken down further into the specific goods and services. Under the Procurement Act 2023, these are now referred to as parts. As a supplier, part of the application process requires you to select the specific parts you are able to supply. When awarding a contract under the dynamic market, a buyer will use the competitive flexible procedure and will reference the relevant parts in relation to the requirement in their tender notice, and can also use the relevant parts to determine their supplier list. As you can see here, the 4 main groups are technology delivery, operations and services, data, advisory, consultancy, training, and academia. We have then listed a high-level overview of the types of goods and services available through this agreement. We have also finalised lists of parts published on our webpage. You will all be able to access this, and we advise you to take a look at this over the next few weeks to determine what you are able to supply ahead of applying. Next slide, please. Who can apply? Anyone can submit an application to be appointed to this dynamic market in response to the published intention notice. An application can be submitted as a single legal entity or as a special purpose vehicle. If the application is by consortium, where a special purpose vehicle has not been formed, then all members of the consortium must submit their own separate application to join the dynamic market. The buyer's associated tender documents will outline the specific procedures for submitting a consortium tender where a special purpose vehicle has not been formed. If you are intending to use subcontractors to help you deliver contracts awarded, you will need to provide an exhaustive list of all your intended subcontractors in your application. This applies to all subcontractors that are known about at the time of your application. Thank you very much. I'll now hand you over to my colleague, Larry.
Stuart. I'm Aleri Hall. I am the Category Manager for Space Technology Solutions here at CCS, and I'm just going to go through how you actually apply for membership onto the Space Technology Solutions dynamic market. Please note for the next few slides, I'll be going through the visual screenshots you can see. However, we have provided links, as mentioned, at the end of this presentation which will take you to the written government guidance on application. So I'll be running through the application aligned with the screenshot share to aid familiarity with the process, but I do advise you read the published guidance to ensure compliance. So as a supplier, the first thing you should do is download and read the information pack, as we've mentioned, which will be available on the Space Technology Solutions page on the Supplier Registration Service. This will provide all the information on the dynamic market, including the parts, specification, information on GDPR and finance, terms of use and MI reporting. Again, please read this prior to applying, as it's important you understand the requirements of being a member of the dynamic market. So the next step is to create a gov.uk one login if you don't have one already. You'll then need to sign up to the Central Digital Platform. Please note the Central Digital Platform refers to the newly enhanced Find a Tender service. Again, this has been linked at the end of the slides and you can create your account from here. All general details regarding the supplier organisation will need to be entered here, such as supplier name, address, financial information, connected persons, etc. You can see here in screenshots 2 and 3 the categories of information you'll need to provide. Once you've completed this, the Central Digital Platform will generate a unique share code, and you'll need to note this down for the next stage. Next slide, please. So you must then register for the dynamic market on the Supplier Registration Service. You'll need to go to SRS, select Dynamic Markets as circled here in screenshot 5, which will bring up the search function, and you can search for Space Technology Solutions directly. If you select this, it will bring up the agreement page, which will have further information on the dynamic market, and this is where you'll start the application. So you need to select Access as a Supplier. This is relatively small, but features on the bottom right-hand corner of screenshot 7 there, which I've circled in that screenshot. Next slide, please. This will take you to the Dynamic Market Terms of Use page, which you'll need to read and accept, and then onto the Space Technology Solutions introduction page, which again, you'll need to read and continue from there. Once you've accepted these pages, this will prompt you to enter the unique share code from the Central Digital Platform. This pulls all of the general information from the Central Digital Platform onto the Supplier Registration Service, and this will be visible under the Supplier Information tab on your user dashboard. Once registered, you must complete the Dynamic Market Questionnaire, and this is where you'll respond to the conditions of membership of the dynamic market, which we'll go into detail on shortly. We will then assess your application, and you'll be notified once you've been accepted onto the dynamic market. Please note you should allow a minimum of 30 days from starting your application to joining the dynamic market and being visible to buyers. This covers time taken for yourselves to gather evidence, sign up to all the necessary platforms and complete the relevant questionnaires. It also covers CCS's time to review and reward. During this period, CCS may request further documentation or ask for clarification on certain responses that you've provided. It is your responsibility as suppliers to check emails and the various platforms for any messaging, as not responding quickly may delay your approval onto the dynamic market. In regards to updates, if you need to update your general information on the Central Digital Platform, you can. However, this will generate a new unique share code, which you'll then need to enter into the Supplier Registration Service to pull through the updated information. You can also update your responses to the Dynamic Market Questionnaire. You should do this if anything within your organisation changes, and you can do this by clicking Update on your profile, which will then take you back to the start of the questionnaire, where you can amend any of your responses. Thank you. I'm going to hand you back to Kate, I believe.
So the terms of use will be available once we have published the intention notice. As previously mentioned, the first thing all suppliers should do is download and read the information pack accessed through the Space Technology Solutions SRS page. This information pack will include the terms of use. The terms of use provided by CCS govern your interaction with the dynamic market and includes details on management information reporting and management charges, GDPR obligations, and the processing of data. These terms are separate to the conditions of membership, and it is vital you familiarise yourselves with them prior to applying to the dynamic market. An important element of the terms of use is the management information reporting and management charges. Suppliers must complete the MI reporting template monthly, providing details on any contracts that they have been awarded and on invoices issued to buyers for goods and services delivered through the DM. You will be provided with more information on this process after appointment to the dynamic market. There are no joining fees for the dynamic market. Instead, there is a management charge of 1% of reported invoice total. This percentage is applied to reported invoice value in your monthly MI report and should be paid by yourselves within 30 days of receipt of a CCS invoice. The MI template requires you to cite the Open Contract Identifier, called the OCID, relevant to the buyer's contract. The OCID number is unique for each procurement and can be found on any notice published by the buyer in relation to the procurement or awarded contract. And now I'll hand you back to Stuart.
Thank you, Kate. So I'm now going to go through the conditions of membership. Conditions of membership are the mandatory minimum requirements that suppliers must meet to be appointed to the dynamic market. They are included within the dynamic market questionnaire as part of the application process. The focus on conditions of membership is on legal, technical, and financial requirements. The areas covered through conditions of membership include general information, subcontractors, insurance requirements, data protection, health and safety, payments, carbon reduction plans, modern slavery, cyber essentials, and financial risk. We'll be covering these in more detail over the next few slides. Please note your responses to the conditions of membership are live factors and are subject to change as your organisation changes. You must continue to update the dynamic market questionnaire as and when any of these changes occur. Next slide, please. So, conditions of membership. The first one, general information. Your share code will mean your organisational details will pull through from the CDP, also known as the Central Digital Platform. You will need to know your parent company and ultimate parent company information. You will need to name your questionnaire so you can refer back to it, and you will also need to provide your DUNS number. Under subcontractors and associated persons, you will need to provide full details of any subcontractors and associated persons. Guidance notes are provided as to who classes as a subcontractor or associated person, and each subcontractor will need to be registered on the Central Digital Platform. Insurance requirements. You will need to confirm that you will obtain the required insurances as set by the customer as part of their competitive flexible procedure. Crown Commercial Service has recommended the following minimum levels of insurance to customers using this dynamic market. And that is 5 million for employers' compulsory liability insurance, 1 million for public liability insurance, 1 million for product liability insurance, and 1 million for professional indemnity insurance. A buyer may change these in their conditions of participation in the tender notice. Next slide, please. Under data protection, you will need to confirm that you have in place, or that you will have in place by contract award, the human and technical resources to perform the contract to ensure compliance with the General Data Protection Regulation and to ensure the protection of rights of data subjects. Under health and safety, you will need to confirm that you have in place adequate arrangement to manage health and safety effectively and control significant risks relevant to the requirement, including risks from the use of contractors where relevant. Under the supplier's approach to payment, otherwise known as prompt payment, if you intend to use a supply chain for delivery under this dynamic market, you must demonstrate you have effective systems in place to ensure a reliable supply chain. This criteria focuses on exploring your payment systems. PPN Notice 015 has been linked for your convenience, as has the DFT duty to report guidance and reporting payment practices and performance. Next slide, please. Under carbon reduction plans, companies over 12 months old should have a carbon reduction plan. You will have in place and provide a link to your carbon reduction plan published to your website confirming your commitment to achieving net zero by 2050 in the UK. If you are a new supplier and have been trading for less than 12 months, you must still confirm your commitment to achieving net zero by 2050 by publishing a full carbon reduction plan as soon as possible. Again, PPN Notice 006 has been linked for your reference, and also CCS has recently created guidance to assist you in creating your carbon reduction plan. A link has been provided. Under modern slavery, where you confirm that Modern Slavery Act applies to your organisation, you must provide evidence of your compliance with the Act, including details of where your modern slavery statement is published. Notice PPN 009 has been linked, equally as has the Modern Slavery Act, where you can confirm your company's requirements. Next slide, please. Cyber Essentials. You will need to confirm that you have in place a current and valid Cyber Essentials certificate or an IASME certified equivalent. An IASME equivalent must meet the requirements of Cyber Essentials, including boundary firewalls and internet gateways, secure configuration, access control, malware protection, security update management, and requirements for IT infrastructure. Refer to PPN 014 for guidance, and again, CCS has also created guidance recently to assist you in your Cyber Essentials certification. Links have been provided. Under the financial risk, you will need to complete and upload a completed financial viability risk assessment tool. Please read the instructions provided in the questionnaire before completing. You will be asked to upload your published accounts and, if applicable, your parent company and ultimate parent company published accounts. Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Okay, and this is where I'll hand you back to Larry.
Thank you. So as mentioned previously, suppliers will have to respond to various parts. The parts in this dynamic market refer to the category of works, services or supplies that can be provided under the DM, as well as various supplier capability elements. These parts will make up a buyer's requirement and allow them to identify the most suitable suppliers based on responses. Suppliers must select the options relevant to their business during the dynamic market questionnaire, and customers will be able to filter on the below, allowing them to narrow their supplier list to meet those that meet their specific requirements. Each part has a unique name and reference number, which customers will also have to reference in their tender notices. As we have covered when looking at the scope, the first section refers to the category of works, services or supplies that can be provided under the dynamic market. This is broken down into the 4 main groups and further into subparts as follows. So technology delivery has 47 parts, operations and services has 40 parts, data has 15 parts, and advisory, consultancy, training and academia has 25 parts. Again, the individual parts are listed on our webpage, and we advise you familiarise yourself with these ahead of the application. Next slide, please. So this section captures information relating to the capability of suppliers that may form part of a buyer's competitive flexible procedure in the form of conditions of participation. Buyers will publish details of all conditions of participation in their tender notice. So section 2, supplier capability, supplier annual turnover, looks at the annual turnover of the organisation. Suppliers will have to select the relevant figure for this part. Section 3, supplier capability, defence and security, looks at security clearance, facilities and vetting. And section 4, supplier capability, quality assurance and management system standards, look at the various ISO qualifications or equivalent. Sections 3 and 4 are slightly different in that there are 3 options for supplier responses: have it, don't have it, or willing to get it. Please note, if you state have it or willing to get it, you will have to be able to evidence this at award stage. Next slide, please. Here we have an overview of how we'll assess your application onto the dynamic market. And again, please allow for 30 days from starting your application to response. We've provided an insight here into the 5 stages of assessing your application, all of which are detailed in the information pack, which again, we recommend you download and read ahead of applying to the dynamic market. This will provide you with more information on the steps and actions you need to take within the approvals process to ensure you have accepted your space on the dynamic market. If your application is rejected or if your organisation is excluded, we will provide you with a reason. Next slide, please. Throughout the life of the DM, we also have the ability to reassess suppliers. The aim of this is to check your excluded or excludable status, if you are on the debarment list or if you still meet the conditions of membership. CCS must remove any supplier from the dynamic market which has been added to the debarment list on a mandatory exclusion ground. Additionally, a supplier may be removed from the dynamic market if since joining they are considered by CCS to be an excluded supplier but are not on the debarment list. You have become an excludable supplier or were an excludable supplier when you became a member of the market but CCS was not aware. You no longer meet the conditions of membership. You fail to meet the management charge. There is a supplier insolvency event or there is a notifiable default. Again, there are links to the excluded supplier and debarment guidance available at the end of this presentation for you to get more information on those elements. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Larry. We're just going to run you through the buyer journey to ensure you have an awareness of how the dynamic market procurements will be carried out under the Procurement Act 2023. Firstly, buyers will run a competitive flexible procedure for all procurements. Dynamic markets allow the buyer to determine contract terms they may use, their own set of terms, or the Cabinet Office published standard contracts. Buyers will have to publish various notices on the central digital platform throughout the procurement process. Procurement opportunities will be published on the central digital platform with a further detail on the specific requirement. As mentioned, the Open Contract Identifier, also known as the OCID number, will be generated upon this first notice and will appear in all subsequent notices. The notice will also reference the dynamic market, which also has a unique reference number and OCID number, as well as the relevant parts of the dynamic market, part names and numbers also referenced. The UK4 tender notice will also include the conditions of participation, and the conditions of participation refer to the specific requirements that are set by the buying authority. They detail the specific requirements suppliers must meet to take part in the particular procurement procedure or in a particular procurement procedure. These will vary from one procurement to another and must be met in order for the supplier to be considered. These can include social value considerations, cyber essentials, plus, etc. They may build upon or enhance the conditions of membership set in the dynamic market. For example, the buyer may require a higher or lower value of insurance or a higher level of modern slavery risk, depending upon what the goods or services are being procured. Next slide, please. DM notices. So in the lifetime of the dynamic market, there will be 4 notices from CCS regarding the dynamic market. UK 13 will notify suppliers that they can apply to join. assess applications for membership within a reasonable period, and inform suppliers. This is not available for buyers to use. Under UK 14, it is there to notify buyers that they can now use the dynamic market, and it shows the member suppliers. Further suppliers can apply to join. Under UK 15, is published after the dynamic market is modified. This notice is used and updated throughout the life of the dynamic market, and it will provide an up-to-date list of members on the dynamic market, detail when suppliers are added or removed from the market, and inform when a new part is added to the dynamic market or a modification to the specification. To note, the conditions of membership of the dynamic market cannot be modified during the life of the dynamic market. They remain consistent throughout the life of the dynamic market to ensure fairness to all suppliers. And finally, the UK 16 notice is to notify that the dynamic market has ceased to operate and suppliers cannot apply to join any further, and buyers can no longer use the dynamic market. Next slide, please. Here is our current intended timelines. We will publish the UK 13 intention notice towards the end of June or the beginning of July, and this is the point when you can access and download the information pack and commence your application. We'll expect to go live date a month later. Thank you. I'll now hand you back to Kate to close. Oh, I'll edit that bit out. Thank you. I'm just going to go through the links that will be provided for you. So we have 4 pages of important links. The first link page is important update pages. Next slide. And then we have the sign up pages. Next slide. Guidance links. Next slide. And further guidance links. Thank you very much for your attention. I'll hand you back to Kate, who will now close this webinar.
Thanks, Stuart, and thanks to all our presenters. Thank you for watching this webinar. We hope you found it useful. Please refer to our website for further information on the Space Technology Solutions Dynamic Market, where you will also find a copy of these slides.